Right, recording is now on, so feel free for whoever wants to start first.
So I thought I'd introduce myself and then Mandy and then Pete.
Yep,
And then we could go off into our little bits that we wanted to say. So I'm Yo Winder. I am 58 years old, uh, female with limb girdle muscular dystrophy. I've been a power chair user for about 10, 12 years now. And I have been a PA employer probably only for 4 or 5 because, or 4 probably, because before that, any care I had was delivered by an agency. So I'm relatively new to this. And I think that's what I want to say. Oh, well, I work as, what do I do? I work for Oxfam as a technical specialist, I suppose, who tries to improve the way we partner with others. So a lot of trying to shift mindsets, share information. Anyway, that's what I do. And I've done it for 30 plus years. Um,
wonderful.
so yeah, and increasingly I've needed help with that. Over to Mandy.
Okay, hi, my name's Mandy. I've been caring for about 15 years now. I started my training with primary healthcare, um, predominantly with people for the elderly with Alzheimer's and dementia, then moving into palliative care. Um, and basically, then I started working as a PA just because it gave me and my clients a lot more flexibility. So I work with 3 people at a time, which just basically gives me more time per person to do what they want to do, rather than an agency telling me where I need to go, what I need to do, and telling them what they need to have. They tell me now what the requirements are. Yeah, so that's me and how I started. And obviously, I started with Yoma about 4 years, more nearly 5 years now, because it was during COVID. Um, as a PA, as her PA. And I think we've got quite a nice relationship going on, actually. So, yeah, that's me.
Wonderful.
Thanks, Pete. Over to
And
you.
it's my turn. Hi, I'm Pete. I'm also 58 years old, but a little bit older than Yo, and I'm Yo's partner. Um, yeah, and yes, I have been looking after Yo for many, many years. I mean, it's difficult to say exactly how, but because Yo's limb girdle muscular dystrophy is it's getting worse in terms of its the disease. Sorry, I'm not very good on camera.
That's
I'm
okay.
not very good at speaking, but there we go. And yes, I am basically Mandy on a Sunday. Although I'm sleeping next to Yo, so it doesn't really equate. Um, yeah, and so I before Mandy and before the carers that we used to have before Mandy, I was doing all Yo's caring, wasn't I? And yes, and then it was getting too much for me, and that's when we uh, got carers involved, and then COVID happened, and the carers stopped, um, and then fortunately we were left to our own devices, and we're really fortunate to find Mandy, and thankful for that every day, just about. I mean, every day. Sorry, Mandy, not just about at all. Uh, so yes, that's me, and yeah, I've helped Yo do all sorts of things over the years to try and help her work, including many trips overseas, helping her in and out of Land Rovers and on and off planes and in and out of various accommodation. But that stopped about 10 years ago, didn't it? I think. Yeah, I think it was about 10 years ago we stopped going overseas because it was just getting too tricky.
Mm.
Yeah, that's me. I don't know if there's anything else I should say at the moment, but that's it.
Wonderful, thank you.
I think it's over to Mandy to talk about what we do.
Yes.
Okay. So
Baby.
primarily, I work with Yo for her personal care in the mornings to get her ready for work. So at the moment, I'm still wearing a mask as I come into the house. We're in flu season at the moment, and having seen Yo with breathing problems and everything else, I just feel that that's the best way to go at the moment as well, um, for her protection. So that's what we're doing, and that's what we'll still continue to do. Um, so basically, shall I just run you through the whole thing for the morning care? Would that work for you? Okay. So so basically I'd knock on the door and announce myself just so that people know that I'm coming into the house. Go wash my hands, say hello to Yo. First thing in the morning, she will actually be in bed. And we'll start with just seeing how she is first thing in the morning. Um, I hope she had a good night. All of those types of questions as well. Just so I know, A, it's a nice thing to do, and B, I know if there's going to be a little bit of a struggle. If she's been up for a long time already, she might be a little bit tired. So what we will do then is I would come in and then I will prep the bathroom, get everything that we need in place so that when I come back and pop her nightdress on and the sling, that we're ready to go straight from the bed and then into the bathroom. I'll also ask Yo what she would like to wear. She's fully in control of everything that she wants to do. And I take my lead directly from her. So we're then into the bathroom, onto the loo. And then I will leave her to do what she needs to do. And while she's doing that, I'll leave her with privacy, come out, and then I'll be making beds, opening the curtains, and waiting for her to call me, so that then I will go in when she's ready. She has everything to hand that she needs. They're very, very well organized. She has a ceiling hoist that goes right the way through the house. She has a trolley with all of her personal belongings is next to the toilet. Her mobile phone is on that trolley as well. And if she's not feeling particularly well, she also has a bell that she has on the trolley. So she knows that I'm in the next room. And if she needs to, she can call me. Then once she calls me, I will pop on a water sling and hoist her into her shower chair. Pop the water on, make sure we have actually got some hot water for the shower. Nightie off, into the shower, and then Yo will tell me if she would like a hair wash that day as well. It's an open plan shower as well, so we just wheel in, a curtain round, and it's a really nice design. Have a shower, wash hair if she would like. And while we're doing that, we're basically chatting away. She'll tell me what her day's looking like, if she's feeling okay. And I'll be looking for little signs. Has she got a little bruise? Is there a little mark? Make sure there's nothing pressure-wise that's cropping up, because Yo's in one position for quite a long time. And then basically, once that's done, water off, wrap her up in towels. I'll be drying hair. If she wants something nice in her hair, then we'll do that as well. Wheeled in through to the back through the bathroom, dry off, make sure she's comfortable, back onto the toilet, hoisted it onto the toilet, where then we can apply her topical medications, any creams or oils that she would like. Then we get dressed. Then again, I will leave her. She can do her own personal bits and pieces there. And again, once she's ready, she will call me and we'll make sure that Pete brings in the wheelchair. I will finish getting her dressed and everything else, make sure she's comfortable, hoist her into the wheelchair, and again, make sure that there are no wrinkles or anything else in fabrics, because obviously Yo's going to be in there for quite a long time. She will tell me then which boots and things that she would like. It's a little bit cooling, we might want some socks on or something, a poncho. But she will tell me. I always take my lead from her. And that's the main difference with working from somebody that has Alzheimer's and dementia. So I'm still looking for, I'm still reading tone of voice. I'm still looking for facial expression and everything else to make sure she's comfortable. But Yo is telling me what to do. And then basically Yo's ready for the day. And once she's in that chair, she's off doing what she needs to do. And once that happens, then we do pop her breather into place, but then I'm just tidying the bathroom and everything else. And she's independent at that point. And she's off and doing what she needs to do. On a Saturday, slightly different. So we would do personal care. And then Yo has a couple of hours to herself for things that she would really like to do, whether that's cooking or baking, prepping for Christmas, cutting some flowers, those types of things. Okay, so I would work with Yo Monday to Saturday, morning and the evening. And the evening is quite a short call. When I get there, Yo's normally having a little sleep. She has a mask on, so she's got some assisted breathing going on. Pete will help me by taking all of that off. And then basically we're just getting ready for bed. So hoisting again, onto the toilet, and then straight through on the ceiling hoist, right the way through to the bedroom where we get her ready for bed and into bed. And then again, if there's anything else that Yo would like to do, she tells me. Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you, Mandy. I think the only thing I would add to that is that for me, it's been just a revelation having Mandy. So me employing Mandy rather than having agency supplied care. And I know we're incredibly fortunate with that. But the real difference it makes to me is my work doesn't always start at 9 o'clock. Sometimes it starts at 7:30. Sometimes it doesn't start till 11. Fridays I don't work. And Mandy's always been able to be completely flexible. Sometimes it's not easy. Sometimes we both have to compromise a bit, but we always make something work. So I'm not, with an agency, I was always getting up at 7 a.m. regardless. Holidays, Sundays, and that is probably reality. But what's been really nice is to not have to do that and to have some say in what time I get up in the mornings. And sometimes we've got up at goodness only knows what o'clock.
I know.
Yeah, 3, 4, 4, 5 o'clock. I mean, Mandy has been amazing. But again, that just couldn't have happened if it wasn't somebody employed by me. And that helps me not worry. I used to have really stressful times in the morning knowing that I was going to be late for stuff.
Yeah.
And there's nothing I could do about it. But that's just how it was. So that's really helped with me and my attitude towards how I start my job and what meetings I can arrange in the mornings and what meetings I can't arrange in the mornings. Pete, do you want to say more about how you've been my PA on many, many, many occasions and every day?
Yes, well, what do? I do everything else, don't I? Not everything else, obviously, but I, excuse me, I get up first, feed the cats, and then make sure. Oh gosh, I'm sorry, I feel ill prepared for this, but I help you remove your breathing equipment. Excuse me. Remove your breathing equipment, your overnight ventilation, and when Mandy arrives, obviously, and then after Mandy's been in the evening, it's a big chunk of day I just missed out there. But in the evening, after Mandy's finished, I then help you put your breather on and get you a bit more comfortable in bed. Yeah, just a few manoeuvres we do. to get more comfortable in bed. Make sure you've got a hot water bottle, that sort of thing. Just yeah. And then throughout the day, I'm making sure you've got whatever you'd like to drink, eat, if the house is warm enough, all that sort of thing. And if we need to drive anywhere for a dental appointment, hospital appointment, then we do that. Yes. Are we talking currently, or?
I was thinking more in terms of how you've helped me travel, how you've helped me when I am traveling to do my job,
Okay, I can talk
and
about that.
even how you help me spend time in the office if I need to.
Yes. So whenever you've needed to go abroad, I have taken time off work to come with you. And at first it was voluntary, but then your company, your organisation, did pay me to help you do that. And so that's getting on and off planes. We used to travel with a manual wheelchair and a very lightweight sit-to-stand wheelchair, actually, which helped greatly in terms of getting you up and down. Yeah, it would have been tricky without that. Excuse me. So getting on and off planes was quite tricky, but we managed it. Despite British Airways trying their best to lose your chair, break your chair, or just refer to you as a wheelchair, which was nice on one occasion. Anyway, I mustn't rant. And we would go to various places, from Nepal to Zimbabwe, Boston, to various countries, and some weren't exactly equipped to don't have the same sort of standards of accessibility as we do here. But nevertheless, between them and us, we managed to do all sorts of things, including I think, where was it? It was in goodness me, was it Sudan, where someone had built a throne, essentially, to go over a wooden construction to go over a very low toilet that they use, so that Yo could be more comfortable. It was quite an impressive construction made out of very local materials, and it was great. But in general, people were so willing to help, and that was great. And so getting on and off planes, getting in and out of Land Rovers, because most of the roads where we were going were bumpy, if you can call them roads at all. They're tracks and things, and going to having meeting with villagers and things like that. Just using help. I would help the wheelchair get through, sort of sandy conditions and things. Tricky places. But yeah, we managed it, and with everybody's help, it was good. And when we were not sort of what's the expression I'm looking for, babe? When we were not helping displaced people and things. I've forgotten what the expression is, which is really annoying. But when we were back in head offices of a country and things, they'd be more accessible. But I would also be employed to do things that you couldn't do. For example, I was called flip chart boy because I used to make your flip charts with pens and big sheets of paper, and both make those and turn them when necessary. So Chris Whitty, you had nothing on me. I hope that's a reference people will understand. Next slide, please, or whatever it is. So I would do various tasks that Yo couldn't physically manage. Yeah. Am I forgetting anything? I've got some notes here. I'm desperately trying to read. Yeah, that's all I've got at the moment. Something will spring to mind any second now, but in the meantime, does somebody else want to speak? And I've
Well,
got
the
some.
other thing you have always done for me is make my office more accessible.
Oh,
Uh,
yes. When
I,
you need to go into,
I no
sorry,
longer, yeah, I no longer really go to the office, but when I have needed to in the past, Pete's either driven me sometimes if I wasn't driving, or again given up his work at home and come and worked in the office. So decamped and come and done it from the same place as I was, so that I had access to a loo or access to food, or actually the office was pretty good apart from that. But that was super helpful because it means, again, if I need to be in the office, I know I can be. Oh, going to the office and not being able to set up my own laptop.
yeah,
So first thing in the morning, but either I'd have to ask a colleague. That's fine, but it's dull. But if I'm going in now, but there aren't really many people around, and I would be stuck if Pete couldn't plug in laptops and things like that.
Yeah.
That's been really useful.
yeah, and going to a canteen, getting plates of food or trays of food, and um, yeah, just things like that. Yeah,
That sounds wonderful. I agree. Going into offices, it can be stressful when you need help with your laptop and things like that. I've experienced that too. Fabulous. Thank you all so much. Is there anything anyone would like to add?
So I thought I would just add a bit about having had a good employer and how that has helped.
Yeah.
Yeah, ups and downs, but in general, and then a bit about access to work, because again, those two things combined
Yes.
really made me able to be in the office, and probably made me look at my job quite differently. My employer was the first person who even mentioned access to work. I had no knowledge of it, so that was pretty good signposting from their part, and quite insistent that I accessed it, which I think sometimes that's just a line manager issue. Do you have a good one? Do you not have a good one? Do they know anything? Do they not know anything? Are they as lost as you are? So I think it's, that can vary hugely. Um, they've access to work have been really well. For a start, my employer, Oxfam, did used to pay Pete to come away with me
Yeah.
to replace the income that he would have been making privately, but as a computer programmer. So, if he was taking time off work, they would pay him for that time, which I think is
Wonderful.
quite, yeah, quite long-sighted of them. And then after they did that, once I was traveling less, access to work took over, and they would pay Pete to accompany for a day to London, or I need to go for a meeting. They would compensate him for work he would otherwise have earned. Access to work advised me on both my wheelchairs. Um, the moment that I met them, really, they said, right, you need a sit to stand manual chair for travel, and you need a sit to stand power chair for home and work, essentially work, but this country. And they gave me the advice, they provided me, they contributed. We all contributed, it turns out. But they were super good on expertise, and we all hear rumors, but I'm really worried that will become less accessible because there's less money, and therefore there'll be less help for people, because it really helped me stay in work safely and comfortably, and that's a worry. I think having PA help to do my job just means it sort of means that I don't have to, I mean, I don't have to worry. I always have to plan and make sure it's all in place, but I don't have to worry that it won't happen, that it won't be there when I need it. So it's, one less, as long as I've made my plans and everybody follows the plans, then I know I can get my job done, which I think is really nice. And also, if I'm not having to worry about that, then that just frees up a lot of my head for doing more of my job.
Yeah.
So I think it's been so helpful not having to worry much more than most of us have to worry anyway about getting the things in place that stop work barriers being a barrier. So that doesn't make much sense, but
No, it does.
I hope that yeah, it just means I can focus on my job,
Yeah.
which is great. So I think that was the only thing I wanted to add. No, that's it. That's it, because there's some stuff about confidentiality, but that comes up in one of the PA questions, I think, so we could address that there.
Okay, wonderful.
I'm done.
If everyone is ready to move on to the questions, I have one. Yo, would you say that having the support of access to work, your employer, your PAs, that enables you to be on a level playing field with your able-bodied peers within your job role, within your organization that you work for? Would you say that by having that support, it enables you to be able to meet the requirements of your job role?
It really does, and unequivocally, I couldn't do it without having the PA support that I have. Both that, even though I work from home 99% of the time now, I still need to know that I will get to my desk when I want to get to my desk. And I still need to know that if I need to go to the office, Pete is amazing and can sometimes be compensated for by making sure I can get, on the 2 days a year I need to go to an office. That's not an issue, which means that yeah, I'm able to do my job like any of my peers can do their job.
Wonderful. I'm just getting up the questions. Sorry, I've got two screens and conveniently it's cut off half of my. There we go. Joys of technology. So the first question is, how does I suppose you've already shared that, but how does your PA support you in getting ready before and after work? But I think you covered that. Is there anything else you'd like to add to that?
Mandy, anything for you?
No, I think again, it's just the flexibility, isn't it? Being able to get to you to support you for when you need me. Um, like you said, if you have to be up earlier, then it's not a problem. We've not got those restrictions in place. There were other things that we had to organise, like we had to get the hoist signed off by the OT, wasn't there, and different things, just for single-handed hoisting and different things. But I think everything's worked out really well. Yeah, no, even everything's doable with a bit of organisation.
And the other thing is if Pete has to be out for the day,
Yeah,
because you're quite local, and again, that's lucky circumstance, but you
yeah,
can pop down in the middle of the day and give
yeah.
me which again we just wouldn't be able to do it if it wasn't.
No, because you're again with a company, aren't you? You're restricted by they want 2 weeks notice of any changes and da di da di da. So yeah, it's easier for me, and as you said, we might have to compromise a little bit, but it gets done.
Yep, I've got nothing to add to that.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Our next question is, which I think you've covered as well, was if you needed to, would your PA attend work with you? Which you've shared that your partner's obviously taking you on holiday, not on holiday, on work trips. Is there anything else you'd like to add on that? Should we move to the next one?
I don't think so. I think No, we covered it all.
Yeah, no, we did. Yeah, no, that's fabulous. Thank you. The next one is, what role do your PAs play in supporting you with work? This could be care needs or your actual job. So I suppose, um, yeah. So your PAs, do they have to help you with your actual job, or do they support you with more, like you've mentioned, getting your laptop out, um, getting up at the time you need to for work, things like that? Is there anything you'd like to add to that?
Not these days, they don't. But as Pete mentioned, when we were overseas and there were more physical bits to my job, like dealing with flip charts, then he would do that. So he would step in and do that for me and we'd talk about it and plan it, and he'd know when I needed what flip charts. In fact, he could probably have delivered the training without me. But that's not part of my day-to-day job anymore. So that's not really quite so relevant.
Wonderful. I think I'll read this question out, but I do think we might have covered it, so feel free to skip it. It's, what specific kind of support does your employer need? What specific support do you need to perform your job effectively?
I would say we've done that.
Yeah, I would too. The next question is, how do you balance professional how do you balance professional assistance with respecting your employee's independence? So I suppose that's for Mandy. How do you balance your job role with making sure you stick to, as you've said, what you want? And for example, how would you juggle if, I don't know, say Yo was telling you about some an issue at work, perhaps,
Right.
and
Well, we
how
have
would you?
we do have chats like that. It is confidential. Um, I might have a view, but then I only, talk to you about that view. I'm not going to take it outside
Yeah,
and chat about anything else. Um, it's it's the same as everything. That's her work, her job. And I might say something, about, God, I've had a terrible morning or something. It's these things, they do come up in conversation, but you don't have to repeat them. So
brilliant. Next question is, how do you prioritize tasks?
Can I just come in there?
Sorry,
Oh,
yeah,
can
carry
I
on.
just come in there? Because I was just thinking that is so much easier when, because I have had stuff that I have said to people, probably on me, that I shouldn't have said about my work because you do, and you shouldn't, but you do.
yeah,
Yeah,
But Mandy works for me, so and I know that, and she knows that, and it doesn't go any further. Whereas if I've done that with a couple of agency staff or something, they will go off and talk to each other.
yeah,
And that's human nature too. So it just means I would have to be more guarded, I think, than I have to be in our current setup, because this just I trust Mandy and she trusts me. I don't think not to tell her anything too awful. And I would feel really bad, but your questions have made me think about boundaries, and some of the previous questions made me
mm,
think about boundaries as well. So there's still stuff we could learn.
yeah.
superb. Right, forgive me for. Okay, we are on. Next question is, how do you prioritize tasks when supporting your employer at work? So I suppose that would be more for Mandy. Um, how would you, when you're when you're getting ready for work and things,
Yeah,
as you've mentioned, you very much go off of what Yo wants, is Yo's life, Yo's
yeah,
job,
yeah.
and that kind of thing. Is there anything that you do within your role to help prioritize? For example, do you, when Yo has to be up quickly for a meeting, do you prioritize doing certain things, be like, right, come on, we'll do that one later, we'll do this now so you can get ready and get into your meeting?
Well, yes, definitely. But Yo's very organized. So she will say to me, can you come in an hour early? Can we do this? Or we'll skip a hair wash today. And we'll make sure that I'm at my desk at 8 o'clock instead of 9 o'clock. So she's the organizer. And I can do, yeah, basically I can follow her lead. We've done a few things when she's not been particularly well, and we've had to make some slight adjustments then. But again, that is having a conversation first of all about what we're doing. And we might have to skip a few steps or do something slightly differently, or she needs to get on the cough assist halfway through, getting ready after just having a shower rather than get dressed. But again, it's just being aware of the situation and how she's doing, and then she will tell me, if she's not doing very well or she needs something. So yeah.
Wonderful, thank you. Does anyone else want to add anything to that before we go on to the next question?
I would just like to add that I gave Mandy palpitations the other day by getting up in a really tatty bathrobe because I needed my cough assist. And then Mandy worried all day that I was going to still be in my tatty bathrobe, which I was, but it was we all compromised.
Yeah.
I think it's a very nice bathroom.
Yeah.
Oh, superb. The next question is, how do you ensure your assistant aligns with, hang on, how do you ensure your assistance aligns with your employer's personal preferences and dignity?
A lot of it is common sense when it comes to dignity. I it's just privacy. What would you like yourself? I wouldn't want to be exposed to the world. We wouldn't want to, if it's dark, you don't open the curtains when the lights are on. You cover Yo and wrap her in towels once she, straight after a shower. It's just things that you would do. So I don't find that difficult at all. And I've worked with Yo long enough now to know her preferences as well. So, things like when she wants to be alone in the loo, and she will ask if she needs assistance. So yeah, and again, yeah, it's just taking the lead. I wouldn't presume. I just wouldn't do it. Just wouldn't do it.
Yeah, no, that is great advice. Does anyone else want to add anything, or should we go to the next question?
I think it's quite interesting having moved from double-handed care to single-handed care.
Yeah.
I've gone that way because we were struggling to find double-handed care and it was COVID and everything, but it just feels to me like when it's single-handed, it's so much more direct.
Yeah.
There are only two of you there. And there aren't distractions. There isn't a third person, a second carer. Even with the best will in the world, Mandy and I are much clearer about who does what tasks and when.
Yeah.
So I think that's, and then no double-handed care is good for lots of people, but the difference in the dynamic.
Yeah.
Is something I've really noticed.
No, I agree with you on that. I also, with when you are a double up, you like you get the issues like if you get a short person and a tall person, where does the height of the bed go? Or for example, two people can perform care, can do the same task in two very different ways. So I think that sometimes it adds more aggro. And I think, especially when it comes to working, when you're like need to get up and ready for work, when you've got more and more people involved, it seems to take longer and you end up having the right, oh, but I was going to do that. Yeah, but I was going to, and I think that I'm all for single care if you can, of course.
Yeah.
If you can't, there's ways around things, of course there are, but I agree with you on that. How do you provide feedback or suggestions without overstepping? For example, if you can see suffering from fatigue when at work,
Right.
how would you address that without being overstepping?
Um, do you know what? We're quite open and honest, to be perfectly honest with you. If there's an issue, it tends to get dealt with there and then. If I see that Yo is struggling some evenings, I would say to her, "Gosh, are you really tired tonight?" Because then I know the movements are going to be different. There's going to be a little bit more weight for me to move around, to get slings underneath her. So yeah, it's just being very aware of how she is doing. It's not
And
rocket science, is it?
well, and it doesn't feel like it to me. But Pete, have you, because you are the one who comes to work with me, physically, when I've had a PA at work, it has been you.
Uh-huh. Can you repeat the question? Sorry, I've lost track a bit on this one.
No, it's okay. So the question was, how do you provide feedback if when Yo's at work, if you see Yo suffering from fatigue or getting really tired, how do you approach that without overstepping?
Very carefully. I don't know how I do that, to be absolutely honest. But yes, of course, Yo gets tired, and sometimes really tired, where she almost can't operate a chair, or or sometimes it doesn't look like you're very safe, on the loo and things. So I just have to be a bit more attentive then, and
But what about when you've been with me at work?
I don't think so. I can't think of anything I do as a result of you being tired
Yeah.
or out of sorts, apart from just be supportive, and understanding, and not getting cross if I'm not allowed an extra donut or something because we don't have time or whatever. Yeah, no, I'm being a bit flippant there, but just just try and be as understanding as possible. But it's tricky.
No, I totally understand. Is there anything anyone else would like to add before I go on to the next one?
No.
Fabulous. How do you navigate privacy and discretion? For example, if something confidential about your work, if you share something confidential about your work, how does Pete and Mandy, how do you all navigate the privacy and discretion of that?
I just don't say anything to anybody else regarding what Yost told me about work. I think Yo's line of work is so people could be very much affected by what Yo knows, and the organisation knows, and their reputation could be really damaged by things that are said. So I just don't mention, I don't talk to anybody else about what Yo tells me about work, other than trivial things. Well, but that obviously that's a matter of opinion. But yeah, no, I just keep it to myself, I think.
Brilliant. Mandy, do you want to add anything to that? I think you've
I was
already
gonna say, it's
touched on
very,
that.
I get a very general overview anyway. So Yo, it's not, so Pete lives with Yo, so he obviously knows probably more that's going on in her life with work. Um, we generally talked about what time we need to get to a meeting, when she needs to be prepared. A country name may come up, but we're not talking about, she's not telling me any information about what she's doing in her meeting. So,
Yeah.
we talk about things on the news, things like the cuts to charity money in general. But other than that, yeah, I wouldn't know what she's doing on a day-to-day basis once she's at her desk.
Our last question, and we've come in good time. How do you handle if Mandy gets, no, if Yo gets stressed at work or and might become a bit rude or snappy, or when you get tired and you get a bit snappy, how do you handle that?
I do know exactly what you mean, but we've known each other for a long time now. She's not that type of a person, and I know that. So I tend to let it go. And normally it's just because she's tired. She's overtired. She's worked a lot of hours. She probably hasn't got her sleep in of an evening. And she's just absolutely worn out, exhausted. So we just don't talk about it afterwards. It's just one of those things. And I go home. I don't have to deal with that.
I do.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's your job.
Yes,
Wonderful.
because I suppose because we're in a relationship,
Yeah.
a long-term relationship, it's slightly different from a professional care. Well, it's very different from a professional
Yeah.
care. So yeah, that doesn't apply to me.
Is there anything you'd like to add on anything else on the topic, or any other comments you'd like to make before I end the recording?
Um, no, I don't think so. I just think that, as we were saying before, there's certain things you have to put in place if you are moving from a care company to a single-handed PA, just to make sure you tick all the boxes for the OTs and everything else. But once you've got it all in place, um, you learn from each other, and I think it works quite smoothly, actually. Yeah, I much prefer it.
Brilliant. I will turn the recording off.